Here we go. So first of all, I just want to say it's such a joy to see you. Back to school night is one of my favorite nights of the year because I get to see the people who put so much hard work into creating the amazing students that I get to teach every day. I want to say that both classes that I'm teaching this year have been phenomenal. It's super fun to come every single day. So thank you for all that hard work you're doing. Today I'll be talking to you a little bit about some of the things that I think are just really awesome that we can do as a team to support your student to have the best experience that they can have this year. The first thing I want to talk about is the fact that they still need you. You might not want to hear that because you might be ready to just sort of slide them out the door. But in my experience, the students still need you at 12 and 13, 11, 12, and 13. And it's actually a really beautiful time where that need can turn into something integrated together, which is really beautiful. So I'll talk to you about some of the ways we can do that. You may have noticed in the emails that I send home, I often am trying to foster like a chance for you and your student to interact, and I'm encouraging them to do so, using the terms intrinsic motivation, knowing that the ability to share your life and to engage in learning, if you do it intrinsically, if it comes from within, it is the most powerful way. So you can foster that by engaging with them, by checking out the emails that come your way, watching videos, bringing it up, talking to them about videos, knowing that I'm telling them that I want them to do that as well. And really what's really cool about this is at some point they start teaching you. I have a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old, and they have taught me so much because it goes both directions, sometimes in a really harsh way, sometimes in a really beautiful way. But what's more important than anything is that we continue that interaction in some way. So it's a chance for you to do that. What you put in now in terms of that interaction, if you can do it without judgment and you can do it with an openness, I think that's something that really pays off later. And I try to provide quality content that makes it possible for you to do it in that way. So give it a try. I like to use analogies in the classroom, and the analogy I like to use for students, I'll give you two of them real quick. One is I tell them that in a lot of ways I see myself as a guide for you and for them, where I am showing them a whole bunch of really cool things about how to learn and ways to understand the world, and I'm pointing them out and I'm asking them to try them out. If they decide they think it's beautiful, they can roll with it. If they don't think it's beautiful, they gotta look, they gotta try it, and then they can go their own path. That's okay. And I'm asking you to join me on that trip as well. As your guide, I'm saying, hey, this is something really cool you could do, but you can look and then decide not to do it. I also like to use the analogy of a buffet. I like to say I'm putting out a buffet of delicious dishes. And if you come up and the more dishes you sample, the greater experience you have. But you can also say you're not hungry, and that's fine as well. I want to talk a little bit about diversity. Diversity is what we start each day with. We talk a lot about history, and you may or may not be familiar with the fact that our history books are oftentimes come from a particular point of view. And I've had multiple conversations with students throughout the years where they will be honest about what they feel like is reflected in their life in the curriculum or not reflected. I love the 7th grade curriculum. I think it's absolutely amazing. It's a complete joy to teach. But there are also gaps in it because there's always gonna be gaps. So every day we start with a different diverse tree, and I send those out on Fridays so you can see what those are every week, and you can check them out. It took me a long time to put them all together, and I think they're pretty amazing. So go ahead and check them out. The other thing is, I want you to know sort of like what the environment is here and what I'm going for. I don't always succeed. I'll be honest with you. There's a decent chance I'll hurt your kids' feelings at some point this year because I'm a human being and they're a human being. If you hear that their feelings are hurt in any sort of way, you should let me know. That's good communication, right? They're coming home, they're telling you. Ideally, they're able to tell me themselves, but I understand that I can be scary. All adults are scary sometimes. So any way that I can get that communication is really valuable. I am doing everything in my power to be sensitive to their needs and who they are as individuals and human beings to not hurt their feelings, but sometimes it happens. So I give them 3 promises at the beginning of the year. The first promise is that I'm never angry at them. I do have a loud voice at times, and I do care deeply, and sometimes I'm intense, but I'm never angry at your child. And sometimes I'll tell them, if you think I'm angry, just ask me, and that'll usually break the intensity of like, oh no, sorry about that. The second promise I always give them is that I will always listen to them. I might not be able to listen to them exactly at that moment because I'm teaching, but if they come and they talk to me after school or at lunch or some other time, I will listen to them for as long as I have time. And if they're not done, I'll say, I gotta be somewhere, but we can meet up again and I'll listen to you longer. And that's something that I'm guaranteeing them. The other promise that I make for them is that they do not need to earn my respect. They get it automatically, and they cannot lose my respect. It is not based on their performance or their behavior or anything like that. It just comes as a given. We talk a lot about the path of responsibility, which is right here. And always effort, contribute to the community. Underneath this, it says respect yourself and respect others. Appreciation and avoiding negative talk and actions. A lot of my goal is to teach kids life skills and learning skills. We're learning how to learn. And part of that is just walking the path of responsibility and doing your best. So we'll constantly talk about that as well. The goal is for them to reach independence with our support, right? So if they're already super independent, that's great. But there will be new challenges in life where they will continue to need our support. And I feel like if we learn how to walk side by side on that path of responsibility, that's really powerful. So ways you can do that this year are, again, by creating this idea of a community where you and I are connected and they're in that and we're in sort of like a circle. And the ways that you can do that are through checking the email and reading those and asking the question, hey, let's look at your Cobra. So every single day they're writing down their Cobra over there and then it goes in. And if you just read that, it should be really clear. I tell them they have to write it exactly. And that's because one of our core skills is being exact and organized. And that's how I teach them how to be exact and organized, just in case they turn into a computer coder and they have to write 1,000 lines of code and they have to make sure that it's exact. Or they're a surgeon, any number of things, right? And I welcome you to take a bookmark on your way out if you want. They're right here in green, which talks about our core skills, which are back there, and some of my ideas around them. So being exact and organized, I teach them through that. They cannot get a stamp unless they have written it exactly. So you know that they are doing it exactly what's up there. And then they're supposed to log their reading on the bottom. And what's really cool about that is super easy for me to know how much they're reading because I just look at the bottom. I see what page they're on yesterday, the day before, and I can be like, oh, you're reading 10 pages a day. You're not timing yourself at home for the 30 minutes and so on and so forth. So it's really easy for you too. But every single conversation that I try to have with a kid is non-judgmental and not putting pressure on them. Every single time I'm saying, you're just giving me information, and I'm giving you information back, and you're deciding how you want to interact with that. Okay, so I touched on it a little bit before, this idea of having a circle. Sometimes it feels like in families and in school, we've got parallel lines going, right? Like school's over here, families over here, sports is over here, dance is over here, language classes. So we've got all these different parallel lines. And I'm really intent on this year being a chance for you to feel like that's a circle. I think that's really comforting for kids when you're in touch with me and I'm in touch with you and you feel comfortable with that and you're talking about the class and there's engagement in a community way. It really feels more like a circle and that's better for everybody. If you have any sort of communication you want to send to me, I welcome it. I love it. You can send it by email. If you want to talk to me, you can send me an email or pretty much everybody has my cell phone number now because you've received a call from me. You're welcome to call that. I won't answer it if I'm busy, but you can leave a message. That's fine. Awesome. We are to halftime. This is about the history curriculum. Looks like I put some time into actually doing this too. All right, so that was history and English. And I want to talk to you a little bit about those curriculums just really in general. You got the idea there. It's a really, really fun curriculum. It really is. I love teaching 7th grade for a reason. Not just the age, but also because of what I get to teach. And again, if you are checking those emails and you are looking at the Cobra and you are talking to your kid, you're gonna have so many awesome conversations about all the different places that we go to. And then also with the reading and the writing and the public speaking, we're really emphasizing communication and this idea that communication fosters justice over here. And this is the fact that, like, if we want to bring justice to the world, it helps a lot if we can communicate our ideas. And that's what I want them to be able to do in writing and in public speaking and listening and all those things. We do work on essays. We also do creative writing. Every student will speak in front of the class. They get scared, but I get pretty much every kid through it. But having said that, they really can't do it. We always find a way for them to feel successful that doesn't push them in a place where they're uncomfortable. But I do like to try to encourage them to give it a try. And then we do a lot of analysis as well. The curriculum that we use in the district is really good in the sense that there's some great stories that I can use and some great ways that we can do that, including poetry and so on and so forth. I want to talk a little bit about stress, because I know that life is stressful, and I know that being a parent is stressful, and I know that being a teenager is stressful. And just so you know, if your child is getting stressed out, I really, really, really don't want them to be stressed out. I really don't. I want to be a challenging teacher. I don't even mind being described as hard, as long as they say I'm also kind. I don't mind being described as strict, as long as they say that I'm also nice, and that I will listen. But if they are stressed out, I know things happen. I know they're busy. If you're at home with them and they are stressed out, just look them in the eye and say, I know Mr. Yoke would want you to be happy. I know if you send an email to him right now asking for an extension, he will say yes. I know it. And if they don't feel comfortable doing it, you can do it, right? But hopefully the goal is at some point they can do that. We're trying to teach them communication skills. Having said that, we also want to teach them to plan out their assignments, to schedule things in, to make sure they're doing that. And that's something that we can model for them. So some of the things that you might have seen in the letter that I sent home, Tips for Success and Helpful Tips for Families, is to talk to your student about room 202, check the child's Cobra. Don't say, did you do your homework? That is a great opportunity for somebody to lie to you. And I try to set up situations where we get information that is what we want. So saying, let's look at your Cobra is a great way to do it each day. And then you look at the Cobra and you're just like, oh, wow, how was that assignment? What was that like? You know, and then they're telling you. And you can get a good idea whether they did the homework or not if they can tell you what it was like, right? But that's a non-confrontational way of doing it. And then also checking Google Classroom and helping them plan for assignments. Establishing a schedule, modeling a schedule is a really great way to go. Limiting TV and video games, in all honesty. Oftentimes kids will not do something. Actually, sometimes kids will not do something. Pretty much all of your students are doing everything all the time, which is awesome. And I'll ask them, like, what happened? They'll say, I didn't have time. I was like, well, in all that time, did you watch any video at any point? And they'll be like, maybe. And then so the idea is if you're in conversation with them, that's great. And then honestly, sometimes what I'll say to them too is if they're super busy, they are doing so much that they don't have time, I will say, hey, that's fine. I understand that. Try and catch up. If you can't catch up, I'll call your parents or your families and we'll figure out what we need to do to help you to get your assignments done. It won't be like, accusatory. It's like, hey, this is what's happening. Let's talk about this and see what we can do. So reading at the same time as your child every day for 30 minutes, I realize that's like a really high bar for you and highly unlikely, but I'll just be honest with you. How cool would it be if you looked back and you're like, yeah, in 7th grade, we sat down from 4:30 to 5 or from 7:30 to 8 and we read together. Maybe we even read the same book or we just sat down and read. We made that connection. We made that commitment. Modeling for kids is by far the most powerful way to get them to do what we think is valuable for them. So it's just something I throw out there. It's a beautiful, delicious dish in the buffet, which you can take part in. And then I tell the kids too, like, hey, you can teach your parents. Like, they see you sitting down and reading every day. That's inspiring. So So that was about stress. The idea is we work hard, but then we also have time for play. We have communication. Sleep is really important. Kids should still be getting about 10 hours of sleep. I'm just curious, how many of you read the sleep article that I sent back? Anybody see that? Ashanti did? Okay, see a couple hands here. Go to Google Classroom, check out the sleep article that they annotated, and talk to your kid about it. It's really, really powerful. This guy, Matthew Walker, has spent literally years and years and years studying sleep. And that article right there is gonna make you feel like, oh man, that is something I needed to learn. So go back and check out that sleep article. Food, really important. The food here is amazing. I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you, I eat the school lunch every single day. I go down there with my plate, I put a salad on it, I get the main course, I eat that. It's great, it's wonderful. It's free for your kids. I have to pay money for it, but I'm happy to do it. Talk to your kids about it, right? Model that. Hey, try it out. How do you get to like salad? You eat it all the time, right? Again, without the pressure. Community building. So I really like to have a fall potluck and a spring potluck. I don't always have the opportunity to do it. Last year the PTA helped out with it, but this year I'm expecting that will be something that I will do on my own. It would be really helpful if I had a room parent for that. So if you feel like you can help out in some way, I would love for you to send me an email and just say, hey, I can help out as a room parent. I don't overburden you too much. It's mostly just the fall potluck and the spring potluck. It's a great chance for us all to get together, to meet each other, to talk about things going on, and just have a great time. We also have some singing, which is always really fun. Core skills, the posters back there. Really what we're after is teaching kids how to learn and how to navigate the world. Fearless effort is the idea that no matter what we are doing, we do our best and we try to overcome whatever fear we have, knowing that we won't be judged when we try. So fearless effort is huge. Being exact and organized, we talked about. Seeing the teacher also after class, establishing that ability to communicate is something that can go through with them throughout school and even beyond. How to listen and share. We do a lot of talking to each other, modeling listening and eye contact. And the fact is that the expectation that kids will raise their hand in class. I oftentimes will ask a question and I will not go on until I get almost every hand. And your students are doing a great job with that. And then finally, using mistakes. The idea here is that we all make mistakes and we all have this little voice in our head which tells us we have to be perfect sometimes, which is really, really, really hard to do. So we try to make it something where we all make mistakes, but we also do want to learn from them. So using mistakes is one of our core skills. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to show you one more quick little video. I want to tell you about these guys. So these guys, Buster, Jake and Khalid, are former students of mine from really early in my days at King Middle School. They could have even been the first year I was here. I started here in 2004. And they actually ended up both kind of becoming rappers. And I was like, hey, we need to put together some videos and make that happen. And so I show this to you because it's inspiring, but also because I want you to see that when you're a Cobra for life. And once you've been in room 202, I consider myself to be a resource and a teacher for life. And nothing makes me happier than to have kids come back and talk in the classroom or keep in touch with me. It's really, really beautiful. So I'll show you a little bit of this and then we'll finish up. Jake's a teacher now, by the way.
Yes, like Buster, let's break this show down. Sharing love all through this town. Can't separate that no now. Liberate to liberate all through this ground. Push to the back force. Out of work like came together so they can disperse to affirming every action. This is not luck. Still strive when not this up. When they go low, we go high. When they go low, we go high. When they go low, we go high. No matter what they do, we go high. When they go low, we gon' rise, no matter what they do, we gon' rise. We gon' rise. We gon' rise. We gon' rise. Yes, yes. We gon' rise. Yes, right. Hey. MLK, preaching about empathy. Rosa Parks in the sea where she should be. Everybody marching with the daydreams. Huey and Bobby and Mary J.C. Angela Davis had the bold statement. take motion way in the system ain't work. Sitting in the same space, same place. All cause you don't like this race. Like, please catch up to the patient. Please stop trying to save face. Please stop trying to spread hate. They selling not see through just like lace. Like dividing convoy, unite and prosper. Not those who got Obama. Kids in Chicago still got that trauma. Couldn't stop the lives from becoming scholars. Pray for my two $2 million. The war squares us and no performance. Grown man killer. Chief of the Cherokee looking at the youth of the future is free. When they go low, we go high. When they go low, we go high. When they go low, we go high. Yeah, we gon' rise. Yeah, we gon' rise. Like, yes, we gon' rise. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We end with some great quotes. I've actually emailed this out, so if you want to, you can go back and check that out. I highly recommend it. I do want to finish with a few words just to sum up. Your kid might be sending you vibes that they don't want to talk to you, but they do. They want to talk to you. They want to talk to you. They still need to talk to you. So I'm trying to give you ways in which you can get through those vibes, knowing that they're hearing that at school, that part of what we're after is building community and that they should be talking to you about room 202. And that gives you an entree to talk to them about that. It's a way that you can share the same meal. All right, what I'd like you to do now in the last 2 to 3 minutes, I'd like you to stand up and I'd like you to meet at least 2 or 3 other families, just exchange names and have a good time. I'm gonna play the rest of this and enjoy. Go, all right, talk, stand up, talk.